and welcome. You're watching Changing India, the show where we see how New India is turning age-old problems into opportunities, thereby giving us an insight into 21st century India. This week, we shift our focus to the art of storytelling. From publishing to poetry, from stand-up artists to even brands, we see how these new storytellers are defining our lives today. For all the talk about declining reading habits among the youth, did you know that India is one of the largest markets in the world of books? Well, in fact, India is expected to hit the 739 billion rupee mark by the year 2020. But the biggest change in the Indian publishing industry has been digital as well as self-publishing. This space has given an opportunity for young writers to reach out to an ever-growing audience. My colleague Shubhankar Basu brings us this story.
Writing a book is not an easy task, but ask any author and they'll tell you that the real work often starts once the manuscript is complete. Given the market dynamics, getting published by a reputed publishing house is often a challenge for new writers. Traditional publishing houses tend to be extremely selective and have strict guidelines regarding the kind of content that they wish to back. Moreover, given that they eye specific sales targets, the pressure on new authors can often lead to unseemly compromises.
There are a number of publication houses and they traditionally publish authors, but then there is a pact between the publisher and the author. You sign an agreement and you agree to purchase a certain number of copies. Suppose if your book is not reaching that success, you have to go and just buy your books from the market. So that is something, you feel a bit concerned as a budding author, as an aspiring one. So just to avoid that thing, I thought that it is better to provide an initial security and go for self-publishing.
Like Ankit, many young Indian authors with their dream of getting published are now approaching companies that offer self-publishing services. The advantage is that they enjoy more freedom in terms of content selection, royalty, and outreach in terms of marketing.
We just needed a new push because traditional publishing has its own limitations. They can't publish each and every script. With the advent of digital printing, actually, this is possible and the power is swung in the hands of the writers. But in self-publishing company, as we see, all the rights are retained by the authors. For example, the copyrights, they are filed in the name of the author only. And if his or her script is approved for the movie or anything, then he don't have to take our permission. Even of the distribution, if the author tells that, okay, I don't want you to further distribute my book, we can stop the distribution at that time. And it's completely, the rights are completely of authors only. And that's where I guess self-publishing is really important also. But yeah, with our traditional imprint, if the script is good, if the author is not able to invest that much amount of money, then we'll be willing to help them with that.
India's book market is estimated to be growing at an annual rate of 20%. The self-publishing industry is rapidly becoming an important contributor to that growth, by offering a platform for new perspectives and storytellers to enter the mainstream. While there are concerns that self-publishing is leading to declining quality of literature and writing, at the end of the day, the consumer is the one who has the last say, whether it is for a product by a reputed publishing house or one by an unknown writer. In New Delhi, Shubhankar Basu, WION.
For most children, comic books are a pathway into reading, but these comic books today are undergoing a renaissance of sorts as they're being targeted at an older audience in the form of graphic novels. But don't let the colorful narratives of graphic novels fool you, as they are more than just fun and games, as WION's Pratik Suri tells you in this report.
From superheroes to Archies and Chacha Chaudhary, comic books are an intrinsic part of childhood. But these fantastic tales, along with the colorful visualizations that make them so appealing, are about much more than just leisure.
हम उनको novels fiction में कहते थे और non-fiction में कहते थे.
Earlier novels were both fiction and non-fiction. Comics have become much more than just fun reading today, as they spread education and convey a message.
कोई और शेप कहा गया. अब graphic novels में भी, comics में भी यही concept है. Comics के अंदर पहले fun oriented comics हुआ करते थे.
What that has meant is that comic books are being reinvented in the form of graphic novels. And this is an art form that has a much longer history than one could have imagined.
Graphic novels is more than comic books. It is a combination of high quality text and very appealing visuals. The combination of both these aspects makes a good graphic novel. It is a more serious form of comic books, and we all know that comic books have been here for a long time. We can call it that, just like comic books, graphic novels also has sequential art. And sequential art has been always there from time immemorial. We could see cave paintings. That was also a type of sequential art. And in the modern day, what we have is what we call graphic novels.
With such an approach, graphic novels appeal to a wider range of readers than just children, from young adults to even the elderly. And that means putting together such a product involves much more than just sketching funny characters.
Good comic book or a graphic novel will take anything between 3 months to say 6 months, and maybe the way we render our books, it takes to about 8 to 10 months or a year, because an artist can actually only do one page at a time, right? So the stages are that you do the rough pencils or you do the inking, and once the pencils are done and the inking is done, then it kind of goes to the coloring process. Then we have something which is called the flat coloring, where only the flat colors are put on the panels, and then the detailing is put in by a senior colorist, and then the images go to for inserting the text bubbles in and the captions in, and that's when the final product comes out.
With the digital revolution upon us, increasingly people are turning away from print and seeking even comics or graphic novels online. While that has meant lower costs and ease of access for readers, for purists like Girja, a device can never match the actual experience of a printed book.
In fact, the whole concept of actually going to a bookstore and actually browsing through a book has kind of died down. And people have everything on their tablets, on their Kindle, and it's taken away from the reading experience, according to me, because everything is kind of digitized. You don't really get to feel an actual book and the texture, sometimes we use printing effects, and because it's a graphic novel, we do use different printing effects, and you really don't come to know the texture or what has really gone in terms of producing a book on a digital medium. It could, like I said, a tablet or Momics, we call mobile comics. You really can't see that, and because then the page is kind of fragmented and you just see a piece of the page, you don't see the page in entirety, and that again takes away from the entire whole experience of reading a graphic novel.
Prateek Suri from New Delhi, WION.
From comics, we now shift focus to performing arts. For a modern-day artist, the key to success is constantly reinventing themselves, and that leads to them experimenting with various art forms on a regular basis. Trippy Tales in Delhi is one such artist collective where performers are fusing dance, poetry and music in order to touch upon various social issues as well as stir up interest in literature. Here's a report.
जलते हुए पुतलों के आसपास सब नाच रहे थे, चीख रहे थे, चिल्ला रहे थे, पुतलों से पूछ रहे थे.
Young artists from different fields are joining hands to break the barriers between different art forms.
किन बेतुकी बातों पर, किन बेहुदी बातों पर आज लड़ रहे हैं हम.
Delhi-based Trippy Tales is an experimental collaborative, bringing together musicians, poets and dancers.
हम सब हैं.
Poetry, music and dance is, I don't think we literally sat and thought about it. It just so happened that I liked the poetry so much, I said I'll move to it because I want to be able to visually express it as well. Plus I come from a psychology background, so for me the idea was, oh, what about those who are hearing impaired and cannot read? How will you convey messages to them? And there are many aspects that a dance can cover while music and poetry is not being able to.
It's just a matter of tuning into someone else's rhythm or tuning into one common rhythm. So dancers experience the same thing, the musicians experience the same thing, poets experience the same thing,
When they began last year, Trippy Tales was just a group of artists who wanted to make different art forms accessible, breaking free from the constraints of theatre and the stage. Over time, the collective has grown, leveraging traditional art forms to tell modern stories, and attracted a range of artists even from countries like Estonia.
Collaborating with someone from your own country and whose language you understand, whose music you understand is in a way easier. But when you have someone like someone from Estonia, I haven't heard much music from there, or certainly not the old folk music that she was singing. And it's not only interesting to listen to that kind of music, but then to find space to collaborate. So you can do that on a structural basis also, but what's more interesting is to do it on the basis of the vibe or the basis of what that song is speaking.
So far, artists at Trippy Tales have grown financially through their performances and workshops. But now the group is considering formal registration as a legal entity.
It's all clear now. People are ready to accept this as a concept altogether, pay for it and fund it. All that we need to do is just register. So we're just stuck at that process. Otherwise, way forward is very clear now as compared to that time. We'll be doing exactly what we're doing, getting as many artists as possible on board and pulling out all those long lost rituals, traditions, mixing them with what we have now, the current situations, voicing opinions, and that's the purpose, that's the ultimate vision.
And if they succeed in doing that, they are likely to inspire other similar collaboratives around the country to go down this road. In New Delhi, Shubhankar Basu, WION.
We slip into a short break now, but when we return, we travel to the eastern Indian state of Jharkhand, where we take a look at resistance art and also see how storytelling is becoming extremely essential for new age social entrepreneurs.